Hello again, legends. My P organ won't stop growing because Lies of P DLC is finally here, and I've got a build that's going to carry you from start to finish. NeoWiz might have added in some easier difficulty settings into the game, but the true easy difficulty setting is running this friggin' build. Now do not worry, I will not be showing off any spoilers from the DLC, at least not straight away. I do have some spoilers I want to go over, but I'll let you know when I'm about to spill the beans so you can duck, cover, and friggin' run if you don't want to be spoiled. But there is just one weapon I have to show off from the DLC because it slaps harder than President Macron's wife, and it might be my new favorite weapon for now. I say now because damn did the devs cook with some of these weapons in this DLC. So if you are familiar with the channel, you'll already know that I have a crit build video for Lies of P. So I'm going to try and keep everything as short and sweet as possible because I'm just expecting most of you guys already know this information. But if you don't know this information and you would like a more detailed explanation, I will pop a link to that older build video down in the description below. Go and check it out. I'm going to explain everything in much more detail because I'm going to try and keep everything short and sweet here. And also keep in mind that I am on New Game Plus 5, so my stats and a lot of the enemy stats are very bloated, so just keep that in mind. So what are we running in the crit build, ladies and gentlemen, to give everyone a bit of a refresher? So for the weapons, I've gone back to Old Faithful to get me through the DLC, and boy has it been getting me through the DLC. The Old Faithful I am talking about is the Tyrant Murderer's Dagger Blade on the City Long Spear handle. The main reason we have the Dagger Blade here is because the Dagger Blade does have crit rate. I'm pretty sure that's just crit chance. I have 30% chance to crit. It does have pretty decent damage, but man, that crit goes a long way with helping us do more damage. I have changed the handle to Motivity just so I have like a quality kind of rating. I got C in Motivity, C in Technique. If you are doing a new game run or even just a new game plus run, you're probably not going to want to go Motivity. You're probably going to go Technique. If you are scaling in Technique, you're going to get more damage that way, I think. The Fable Arts for the weapon are very strong. We have Grind on the Dagger Blade, which is going to improve the crit hit chance temporarily. And then we also have the Long Spear handle, Fable Art, which is Concentrate, which increases attack temporarily as well. Both of these Fable Arts only cost one Fable Art charge each. They're very cost efficient, and they boost your damage by quite a significant amount when you have both these buffs up. I would say the one negative to this weapon is the damage reduction rate is quite low. It's only 36.6. So if you're not the parry master, if you're not parry the platypus, you're going to be taking a bit of damage just guarding with this weapon setup. But if you are more familiar with the game, I feel like this weapon's very friggin' strong. And just to give you an idea of how I use the weapon, there's one way to use the weapon and one way only, baby. I've got the wrong fucking weapon out. Let's get the right one out. So if we put Grind, if we buff ourselves up, all you really need to do, charge heavies. Charge heavies have a lot of range on them, and they're very strong. As you can see, we're doing 2.3k damage on a crit, which is very... That's very good. That's very good. I will say on New Game Plus 5, the enemies in the DLC are very bloated with their health. They have a lot of health. So you're going to want as much damage as you could possibly get to try and get through those fights quicker so you're not getting fatigue and making mistakes. And I feel like the Dagger and the Long City Spear handle does a fantastic job at just laying on a shit ton of damage. Plus that Charge Heavy has a lot of range, man. Like I said, you can kind of just see here, oh, I just missed. I reckon from about here, yeah, you get so much range on it. So as you can see, you just get like a lot of range on this weapon. It's absolutely fantastic. It's one of the reasons I love it so much is because of all the range it gets on its Charge Heavy, and that's all thanks to the Long Spear, the City Long Spear handle. Now the next weapon we're going to go over is another faithful weapon, that is Trident of the Covenant. This is definitely a fan favorite, for good reason too. It's arguably one of the strongest weapons in the game. Charge Heavy with the Trident can be oh so deadly if you can get it to crit. It can produce some pretty big numbers. So say kind of deal, the damage on the Trident is much higher than the Dagger and the City Long Spear handle. The only upside of the Dagger and Long Spear handle setup is you're much quicker than the Trident, but you hit much harder with the Trident, and since it's a bit more of a heavier weapon, it does seem to stagger enemies and also build up the groggy meter more, so you can knock the bosses down for Fatal Blow. So the damage is 256 plus 231. Again, remember my stats are very inflated. That plus 231 is going to be a lot different if you guys aren't on New Game Plus 5 and have everything maxed out. But just like the Dagger as well, the main reason why the Trident is arguably one of the strongest weapons is because it has crit rating as well at 30%. So another positive the Triton does have over the dagger blade and long spear handle setup is the fact, well, besides the fact that it has more damage, is the fact that it has a higher damage reduction rate while guarding. So if you're not used to parrying all the boss's move, or you struggle to parry all the boss's moves, I would highly recommend using the Trident, because at least if you're guarding, you're just not going to take as much damage. For the Legion arms, nothing too crazy. Puppet String is OP as shit. I use the Puppet String all the time. And then the other Legion arm I like running is the one that puts the mines on the ground. I always butcher the pronunciation of what it's called, so I'm not even going to bother. It's the one that puts the mines on the ground. This is pretty effective. If you are staggering bosses, if you're getting bosses down for a fatal blow, just lay the mines down, get the fatal blow, and then when they get back up, they're just going to get blown up again. It's a really, really fun Legion arm to use. All Legion arms are viable. Some are better for certain situations than others, but all the Legion arms are pretty much viable, but I would say one of the best Legion arms is going to be the Puppet String. It's just so friggin' OP. For the amulets, I like running a max damage setup when possible. So when I'm fighting Carcass enemies, I've got the Carcass amulet on. If you're fighting humans, you put the human amulet on. And if you find puppets, you put the puppet amulet on. I've also got Extreme Modification amulet. This is going to boost our attack in proportion to number of Fable slots. This, I think the Fable slots have to be full, if I remember correctly. So even if you have 5 Fable slots and they're empty, you're not getting any damage bonus from this amulet, I don't think, if I remember correctly. So the Fable slots do have to be full for you to get the attack bonus. If I'm wrong, again, let me know, but I think that's how I remember it working. The Assassin's Amulet, we have the Conquering Amulet, and then we have the Arm of God Amulet, which is going to boost our damage for each successful attack. This does stack 4 times, so that's a very nice damage increase. I do have a lot of my stats maxed out, so the blue Guardianship amulet, I don't know why I struggled to say that. If you are doing like a new game run, new game plus run even, and your stats aren't, you know, maxed out like mine, I would recommend the blue Guardianship amulet. This is pretty strong amulet, just boosting your health, stamina, and legion. The grindstone I'm also using, to absolutely nobody's surprise, is the crit grindstone. This is just going to further boost your crit even further. So we have the crit amulet, the crit grindstone, and we also have the Fable Arts from the dagger, which also boosts our crit. I think, I'm going to butcher this now, but I think if I remember correctly, it's something like, we have something like 70% crit, maybe 80% crit. I probably should have looked at this before I did the video, but I've been enjoying the DLC too much. It's taken up too much of my time. Now moving on over to the P organ, I do have pretty much all of the P organ unlocked. I'm not going to go over everything again. I'm going to assume most people are at about phase 4, phase 5. To get phase 6 and phase 7, for anyone that's wondering, you have to complete a new game run and then a new game plus 2 run to fully unlock all of the P organ upgrades. But I will go over some of the main ones that are very beneficial for anyone that might be new to the game or just doing a new game run and just want a refresher. Perfect Guard causes stiffness, very strong. Try and get all these pulse cell upgrades earlier on. They're going to be very beneficial for helping you stay in the fight longer, so you can clutch out fights. Enhanced pulse cell recovery. This is when your discharge of all your pulse cells, you're going to recover them back quicker again. This is going to help you clutch out and stay in fights for longer. Adding Fable slots will also improve your damage if you're running the Fable attack damage boost amulet. So this section on the P organ is pretty beneficial if you have that amulet. Increased staggerable window 2 down in phase 5 is massive. This is going to keep that groggy meter on the enemy or boss for longer, so you don't have to panic and have an anxiety attack about landing a charge heavy to knock the enemy down for a fatal. This section in the P organ is going to make it a lot easier. I know a lot of people might only have 4 amulet slots, but if you have finished a new game plus 2 run, you will get an extra amulet slot. That's how I have 5 for anyone that is kind of confused or scratching their head why the fuck I have 5 amulet slots and you only got 4. So there you go, that's why. You just have to play the game a lot to get that extra amulet slot. Okay, so now we're going to be moving into spoiler territory. Spoiler territory, everybody. This is your last warning. Do not pass this point if you don't want to be spoiled. Okay? 3, 2, 1. So, ladies and gentlemen, with the release of the Lies of P DLC, we have a new sheriff in town. A new crit weapon has entered the scene, the Death Talons. Now, these bad boys can carve up enemies faster than Gordon Ramsay carves up a goddamn chicken. So these are the brand new boss weapons that you do get for beating the first main boss in the Overture DLC. And they come with a 40% crit rate. Are you kidding me? What the hell? That is That's kind of insane. So I don't want to drag this video on any longer than it needs to be, but I will quickly do an overview of these weapons because holy shit, they are so much fun to use and they are incredibly strong. So the claws have a very interesting moveset, as you can see on screen. The charged R2 is my bread and butter. It's a leaping, lunging charge R2 that covers a lot of distance. Fits my playstyle, boys. Fits my playstyle. The line attacks are pretty good. They're quite quick and you do recover really fast from them when you are kind of like just slashing around aggressively. The heavy attack is my bread and butter. I love the heavy attack. You can chain it together very, very easily. But the Fable Arts is where this weapon shines, baby. So for the actual blades themselves, we have Link Slash. This slashes an enemy in front of you, uses an extra Fable slot to slash up to 3 more times. And then we also have Rampage on the handle, if you can even call that. I suppose it is a handle. Now, Rampage temporarily enter a state of fury. In this state, all weapon attacks are in hand. So if you're familiar with Elden Ring, this is very reminiscent of like Bogart's Roar and stuff like that, where when you use the Ash of War in Elden Ring, it changes like your charged heavies. Very reminiscent of that, except it does it to all of your moves when you use Rampage. So now our lighter attacks are much quicker, a little different. The finisher is a little different. And you also get a different charge heavy, which does chain very nice together with the spin, which is just tapping your heavy, not charging it. And they chain together quite nicely with just tapping your heavy weapon move. You do this spin and then you can kind of just go back into the charge, into the light, into a spin, into the light, into a charge. It's a lot quicker. It's very fun. It's very fluid. I'm enjoying the absolute shit out of these Death Talons, man. They are a lot of fun. Rampage is a lot of fun, but the Link Slash is pretty friggin' satisfying to pull off. It is very, very strong Ash of War that can lay on a lot of damage. It staggers the enemies quite a bit. Even bigger tanky enemies still seem top an absolute beating from this Fable Art. And also it does change when you use Rampage as well. When you are using Rampage, if I just pop this again, and you do have some Fable Arts left for the Link Slash, it does change a little bit. You get more spins and you get a bigger finisher at the end, I think. Damn, we did a hell of a lot more damage when we were in Rampage. It was like twice as much damage. Holy crap. Okay, I actually didn't realize it was that much more damage. So if you've got the Fable Arts for it, if you're like New Game Plus 3 or higher like I am, you're probably going to have your maxed out Fable charges. Rampage into the Link Slash, I didn't realize it did that much more extra damage. Holy shit, that's a lot of damage, man. Alright, that's a pretty strong Fable Arts. I keep wanting to say Ash of War, man. I've been playing too much Night Rain. That is a very, very strong Fable Art, especially when you're using a Rampage. So very costly, but also very, very strong. You don't have to change the setup, obviously, because we're running a crit setup. The Death Talons slot right in. I'm having a lot of fun with the Death Talons. They are seriously carrying me through a lot of the DLC. You can put a lot of pressure on the bosses and you can bulldoze through a lot of content that you probably might not otherwise or should have bulldozed through. But the Death Talons don't answer to nobody and they're really good at laying on that damage. And that is basically the end of the video. So hopefully this video did help you guys out. I've been having an absolute blast with the Lies of P DLC. It is really good. I'm getting my ass handed to me, but I'm enjoying it all at the same time, and that's all that matters. But appreciate all the love and support as always, guys. And until next time, stay safe. Peace out.